The Thai girls' love industry has always been full of bright smiles, playful chemistry, and actresses who connect deeply with their audience. But behind the cameras and the carefully edited social media feeds, there are stories of friendships that didn't survive the pressure of fame. In recent weeks, fans have been shaken by the emotional revelations involving Faye and Yoko, two actresses whose bond once seemed unbreakable. Now, after months of silence and unanswered questions, one of them has finally spoken. In a recent livestream, Faye broke down in tears as she spoke about Yoko for the first time in a long while. Her voice shook, but her message was painfully clear: I never left her. I was still there, but she never spoke to me again. Those few lines were enough to send the fandom into chaos. People who had long suspected tension between the pair now had confirmation. Something had happened behind the scenes, and it hurt more deeply than anyone expected. For years, Faye and Yoko were adored as one of the most charismatic pairs in Thai GL entertainment. Fans didn't just love their on-screen chemistry, they loved the effortless friendship off-screen. They laughed together, shared private jokes, teased one another, and looked genuinely comfortable side by side. There was warmth, trust, and familiarity. Something that carried into their performances and made their characters feel real. Every public appearance seemed to strengthen the belief that these two weren't just co-stars. They were close, maybe even closer than the audience knew. They were photographed visiting cafes together, supporting each other at events, and posting playful photos and messages that hinted at a friendship strong enough to withstand anything. No one imagined there would come a day when their communication simply ended. According to what Faye revealed, everything changed quietly. It wasn't sudden, not an explosive fight or a dramatic falling out, but a slow fading. One day, she realized she and Yoko weren't talking as often. Then it became weeks. Messages went unanswered. Calls were ignored. Days turned into months. And finally, they weren't speaking at all. Fans first suspected something was wrong when Yoko unfollowed Faye on Instagram. At the time, neither side addressed it, but the silence itself was enough to spark concern. Why would someone abruptly cut ties without explanation? Was it personal? Was it professional? Was it pressure from their agencies? No one could say. But now, with Faye's emotional confession, the picture is starting to form, though still incomplete. What struck viewers most during Faye's livestream was the sincerity in her voice. This wasn't just about losing a co-star. It wasn't even just about a lost friendship. The pain came from confusion. Faye truly didn't know what happened. She didn't understand why someone she cared about suddenly shut her out. I never left her, she repeated, tears running down her face. But she never spoke to me again. Those words echoed across social media, where fans dissected every detail. Many expressed their sadness, not just because their favorite pairing seemed permanently broken, but because it highlighted something deeply human. Behind the glamorous image, behind the interviews and fan service, there were real emotions. Real heartbreak. Some fans speculated that industry pressures might have played a role. It wouldn't be the first time that close friendships were disrupted by conflicting schedules, management expectations, or branding decisions. Others believed something more personal may have happened. Was there a disagreement that Faye didn't realize had hurt Yoko? Was there a misunderstanding that neither of them addressed in time? Or did Yoko simply need distance, without knowing how to explain? No one knows. And Faye's tearful confession didn't provide answers, it only opened more questions. But one thing is certain, their silence wasn't mutual. Faye was still willing to keep the connection alive, while Yoko, for reasons unknown, chose distance. What makes the situation harder for fans is that neither actress ever suggested anything was wrong during the period of silence. They continued working separately, posting cheerful photos and updates. Life continued, at least publicly. But all along, there was a quiet absence. Something was missing. The emotional intensity of Faye's confession suggests that whatever happened, she still carried the weight of it. It wasn't simply about two people drifting apart. It was about someone being shut out without understanding why. The helplessness in her voice made fans sympathize deeply. Because at some point, nearly everyone has experienced that sudden silence. The moment when someone you cared about just disappears from your life without warning. The livestream continued with Faye trying to compose herself, apologizing for crying. She explained that she hadn't spoken earlier because she hoped things would improve. She believed that eventually, Yoko would reach out, that their friendship could return to what it once was. But that moment never came. She also admitted that she doesn't hold anger or resentment. Instead, she hopes Yoko is doing well. She wishes her happiness, even if they never reconnect. That honesty only made her story more emotional. There was no bitterness, just sadness. Fans responded with an outpouring of support for Faye. Comments flooded her live chat and social channels, reassuring her that she wasn't alone. Many thanked her for her bravery in speaking up, acknowledging how difficult it must have been to address something so personal. Others encouraged her to continue healing, reminding her that she deserved people who would communicate and stay present in her life. While Faye's perspective has now been shared, Yoko has remained silent. No statement. No clarification. Not even a short message acknowledging the situation. That silence has become louder with every passing day. Some believe she may be processing her own emotions privately. Others fear the silence means she has no intention of revisiting the friendship. But regardless of the reason, the contrast between Faye's vulnerability and Yoko's silence has created a narrative of imbalance. One person grieving, the other unreachable. Still, the story isn't finished. There is hope among fans that one day, they will speak again, not as co-stars, but simply as two people who once meant so much to each other.